Hello, welcome to Undisputed Boxing. Sorry this is a little bit late, but this is a quick review on Daniel Dubois' return to the ring against Bogdan Dinu for the interim WBA heavyweight title. I saw the fight, seen the fight in whole yesterday. Obviously didn't watch it live. I'm here with Rick. Rick actually has seen the whole card, so you can maybe comment a little bit more on the card. But not a bad return for Daniel Dubois. What was your overall assessment, Rick?
Yeah, I mean, I think I said it'd be round 4 or 5. I think you went a round earlier than me. I thought. I mean, we said about Dino, he's quite competent and he's technically okay, but once you start getting to his engine room, he doesn't have much going for him. He doesn't have much kind of heart, I suppose. And I just thought that Dubois would start off a bit tentatively and maybe take 2 or 3 rounds to kind of just find his way, and then he'd start going for it, and then that's when he'd wear him down and get him out in 4 or 5. But I think the big thing was he just went out from the off, and to be fair to him, I mean, Dino's not a huge threat, but he's not a bum, and you know, he destroyed him quicker than Miller did and quicker than Pulev did. And I know that was, both of those fights were a little while ago, and I don't know quite how old Dino is, but it's still a good performance. And more the fact of the loss he had, he just came out and didn't really show any caution. He was just like, right, I'm gonna, go for you. It doesn't matter what happened to me last time. I'm just gonna demolish you. The only thing I'd say is I didn't really see much new from him. No. But then he only had like a round and 1 minute to kind of show it, and they've not been together. He's not been with McGuigan long. But yeah, the shot was great that caught him, and he wasn't going to get up from that. I think he could have done, but he's just like, nah.
Yeah, he looked like he was ready to lay down. I had a slightly different take on it. I thought Dubois looked really nervous, actually. Didn't you think he looked like that first round? I thought he looked quite tentative. I mean, he was obviously throwing shots, but he just looked a bit nervous that first round.
I think he looked nervous. I think he looked nervous coming into the ring and in the ring, and even admitted afterwards. But I think once the bell went, I thought that jab was coming out quite well, and he was, I think he was coming forward, and yeah, I didn't think his fighting. Look, I think his face and his demeanor was a bit nervous before the bell went, but then when the fighting started, I didn't feel he felt nervous, because I remember thinking in the first round, this ain't going to go long. And that's because he wasn't as tentative as I thought. So yeah, I didn't really sense too much nerves once the bell went.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, Shane McGuigan's only been with him for, well, less than a month, I think. So there's going to be a lot of work going in, behind the scenes. I still think he looked a little bit nervous, and I thought another telling sign was like when the fight was stopped, like he was jumping up and down, big smile on his face. And that, for me, was a little bit of a negative. Like, if you're getting rid of somebody like Bogdan Dinu, or if you're stopping him in the second round, you should just be walking to your corner, fist bump everybody, job done. Like, if you, I don't know, I don't know.
I think that was relief. I think that was just relief. I think if this was the fight before Joyce, I don't think he would have done that. I think this was just pure relief that he got it out of the way. And I don't know, I thought I quite liked to see that, actually. And when he was being interviewed, he actually had a smile on his face, and look, a bit of his actual personality seemed to come out. I actually quite liked it. So I think it's just relief more than, oh no, great, I beat Dino. I think it's just relief that one's out of the way. So like I said, I do think he was nervous before and coming into the ring. I think once the fighting started, I didn't see many nerves. But afterwards, that it was almost like the whole pressure was released. So I do think there were nerves. It just didn't, for me, come through once the bell went. And I didn't find anything wrong with him celebrating, because I think it was celebration for relief that he's got that out of the way, rather than, oh no, great, I beat Dino. That was my take on it anyway.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. I'll take your point on that. I'm still, I don't know. They're talking about going straight in with Trevor Bryan next. And I know that Trevor Bryan's not a killer at heavyweight, but I just wonder whether it might be worth just taking the foot off the gas a little bit with Dubois, and just give him a few more kind of knockover jobs, like another 3 or 4 fights before you start getting him into a world title contention.
I think McGuigan hinted towards. Yeah, I think McGuigan hinted. McGuigan hinted he'd want more time. And I mean, I think where are we now? We're in June. Yeah, he could probably have another fight later on this year.
Yeah.
Because I think he can now start having. He doesn't need probably as many regular fights. He was fighting quite a few times a year. I think he could have another one this year, and just spend more time in camp with McGuigan.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think there's a lot of
so just have like a 6-month camp with a fight in the middle, basically, and then maybe early next year he'd be ready for a Trevor Bryan or something like that.
Yeah, and also just like some more small hall shows, or maybe get him on the undercard, because like he's headlining cards. Like at 23, headlining cards when he's got, when he had to take the knee against Joyce. I don't think there's anything wrong with just taking the foot off the gas and just put him on a few undercards, just keep him busy. Albert Hall show, get loads of more experience with Shane McGuigan. He's got all the time in the world. He's 23. He could fight. He could do that for the next 2 or 3 years. But I think because BT have backed him. Sorry, go on.
I get the feeling there's a disconnect. I get the feeling there's a disconnect between what McGuigan wants, which is probably what you're saying, which is actually give me 12 months with him, give me 3 fights, and then we'll be ready for a bigger fight. I get the feeling. I don't know if it's. I think Bricktop. I don't know if Bricktop needs to pull in some money from him.
Yeah. I mean, look, Frank Warren and Queensberry, they're under pressure to put out big shows, and Dubois was one of the headline acts, probably the headline act. And Joyce stopping him in the manner that he did, kind of, it wasn't great. And even he's out before Joyce. Joyce is still waiting for an opponent, which is, I don't know, it's just they've kind of got it the wrong way around, really, haven't they?
Well, it looks like he's fighting now on the 24th or 31st. Joyce, but no opponent, which basically means it'll be shit.
Yeah, it'll be a shit up. It would be a shit opponent for sure. I'd expect. Yeah.
Just on that though, that's interesting because the 24th would be the Fury fight. So whether he was on the undercard of that, or whether BT are doing a show before going to Vegas.
Yeah.
But the 31st, if they're doing a show, well, that's the first night of fight camp.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a clash because like Queensberry and Matchroom have got loads of fighters that they need to start getting busy again, start getting out again. So I think there's naturally going to be some clashes. I don't really mind that too much. I mean, I pick and choose what I want to watch in terms of what other fights. So I don't think it's a bad thing. It'd be nice to see a bit of a pileup because I think June is actually going to be a little bit quiet, isn't it? It's not really that much going on.
Not tons. You've got the Matchroom one in Newcastle, I think this week, and there's not much. July seems busy. I think there's there's fights 10th. I think BT are doing a 10th, 21st, and 31st, and then you've got Matchroom doing 31st, and they might be doing some stuff in America. I'm not sure in July. Before we move off from Dubois, just a shout out. Can't remember her name, but his sister qualified for the Olympics.
Oh, brilliant.
So yeah, she qualified on the Saturday afternoon. So it was a good day for the Dubois. Undercard was interesting. I think I watched most of it actually, but the 2 fights to talk about, and I'll forget the names. You can help me if you've got them there. But I suppose chief support was a person who had a lot of local support. So he was So basically, it felt like half the Stoke fans were there, and it was just great. I mean, the fight wasn't that competitive. It looked like a three weight difference between the 2 fighters, and he just picked him off with his length, and then just I can't remember when it ended, but it didn't go more than like 3 or 4 rounds. I don't think
3 rounds.
And but it was just great to hear the atmosphere because it was a real. Even though it wasn't full, it was a real atmosphere. It was like kind of football chanting because it was all the Stoke fans. So that was just great. And then Tommy Fury was out. And to be fair, I think that was his 4th or 5th fight. I've not seen hardly anything of him, but I know he's been like knocking people out with terrible records. He was in a fight, and this guy wasn't even all that good. So I think Tommy Fury is a bit back to front here, where he's got very, very little. When I say ability, I just mean he could turn in. He's only young. He's only 22. He could turn into a very good fighter, but at the moment, he's nowhere near his fame and following because of what he's done, it warrants. And the danger of that is you get pressured into fighting big fights early, a bit Dubois-ish, but obviously for different reasons why he's got so much fame. And I'm not sure if it's good in the long run, because he's got like between him and his missus, we've got like 9 or 10 million followers, and you know what I mean. He probably still needs to be fighting crap, getting slightly better crap for the next 2 years. From what I saw, he got caught with a lot of shots. To be fair, he took them all right. His legs never went, but I don't know how big a puncher this guy was that he was fighting.
Yeah.
But you just cringed every time. You just thought he's getting caught. Jab looked okay, and his punches were varied. He threw the uppercuts, so he's got some stuff there. But it's almost like most fighters nowadays, I think it's probably always been the case, other than Floyd, they seem to kind of work on the defense last. And I think they don't work on things at the same level. It's like, right, learn to attack, and then I'll start looking at my defense. You know. And you could tell he had to dig in there and get through it. But he would have learned a lot. And let's kind of see. But there'll be a lot of pressure on him. It's another like Nigel Conor Benn, but even worse because of just the numbers that are going to be watching him.
Do you think do you think Tommy Fury is active enough, for a prospect? Because I know that prospects in the past, like under Matchroom, they're out like every 6 to 8 weeks. And I just wonder if, is he, how many?
Well, I don't know when he turned pro, but he's got 5 fights. Probably not quite enough. I mean, I think the thing is as well, remember, he turned, pandemic. It's hard to judge against normality. And we have been in a pandemic for 15 months now. So there's a bit of that going on.
Yeah, he had two fights in 2019, 1 fight last year, and he's had 2 fights so far this year.
I think we need to judge him on this year.
Yeah, maybe.
But I think in 19 he was funny around on that program, wasn't he? But I think just another observation, I think as well, he looks over muscular for the weight. And again, I think this might be one of those things where he's obviously Instagram and all that, it's about looking great, but I don't know if he looks too big for me.
Yeah.
He's carrying a
too
lot
big
of muscle,
as in too muscle bound.
A lot of bulk, yeah. A lot of bulk. He's got long arms, got a good reach, but he just looks bulkier than he needs to be. And again, look at
Anthony Yard. Like, look how muscular Anthony Yard is, and he's taller than Fury.
Who's taller?
Anthony Yard is taller than Tommy Fury. They're the same weight category, right? Anthony Yard is about 6'2", 6'3" maybe, and he's light heavy. And Fury is about 6 foot. Both muscular.
Is he light heavy?
Yeah, both light heavy. Yeah, I mean Anthony Yard is apparently very tight at the weight, very tight at light heavy.
He just looks a bit bulkier than he needs to be.
Yeah,
I think anyway. But and I always think, when I think of that, I think, he's on Instagram a lot. It's all about how you look, and it's like, okay, that might be good for your Instagram life, but I'm not sure if it's good for your boxing life.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
All right. Should we wrap it up? Dubois.
Yeah.
Who would you, just going back to Dubois? Who would you like to see him fight next?
Well, I don't want him to go to someone I've not heard, but again, I can't see these being made. But I think someone like, like a Gerald Washington kind of level, I think is probably acceptable. I think it needs to be someone who's mixed it with the bigger names, but didn't really get very far. That's kind of who I think they need to be aiming for. Trying to think of another kind of equivalent.
You'd need somebody European side. I don't think Frank Warren and Queensbury are going to start paying Gerald Washington or any amount.
Yeah, I know it's not realistic, but that's my worry. Really, it'll end up being probably someone we've not heard of.
Nathan Gorman rematch.
Hang on a minute. Who's the one that Parker fought? And it was a bit of a sparring session.
Oh, Ruslan Kajanu, the Romanian.
Yeah, someone like him.
Hasn't he fought him though? I thought he'd fought him already.
He might have done actually. So that might have done.
Great shout.
Yeah, no, yeah. Him again then. But well, someone like that anyway.
The rematch, Ruslan Kajanu too.
Yeah. Revenge. Repeat or revenge.
Repeat or revenge. Hang on, let me just double check this. I'm pretty sure he has.
Yeah, you just want to cement the
I do, yeah.
the fuck up.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, fought him in 2019. Or what about Fujimoto too?
Yeah. Oh god, that's a terrible one. That's a terrible one. I'm just trying to think of anyone kind of else. Price. I mean, Price hasn't been around for a while now. I don't know what's going on with him, but that's a risk.
What they would be brave to put him in with Pricey. I mean, Pricey hasn't fought for a while, but the problem with Pricey, he's not a bad opponent, but he's had a lot of losses now. But he can crack. Like if David Price just lands one on Dubois, it's good night. Like Pricey lands, if he lands one on anybody, it's good night. That's why Tyson Fury didn't defend it against Pricey. The risk reward axis is way like all the dials are kind of.
I tell you what, this again, I wouldn't do this. But and I don't think it'll happen. But it'd be interesting, be a bold move, but it could pay off. A Povetkin, because Povetkin looked old.
Oh, he looked terrible. Yeah.
In
fact, I'm trying to think. Povetkin White 1 and Povetkin White 2. I know Povetkin looked old in the first one, but he was still busy. But I don't think I've ever seen or witnessed a drop-off in performance and ability, like in a fight, like next to each other. It was like, what, 6 months apart? Like, Povetkin looked terrible. Looked like he could barely walk.
He'd had COVID in between. So maybe
I know,
that was
come on. It's just, it's not, yeah.
But yeah, so that would be one because Povetkin will, even though he got beat off White, he still carries. He's only recently not White out. So if Dubois fought him and creamed him in 3 or 4 rounds, it's a big statement. But it is a risk just in case But anyway, yeah.
And again, it would be expensive. All right, let's wrap it up. Thanks to everybody for listening and sharing the vids. Please like and subscribe. We're going to do a quick vid, reluctantly, on Mayweather Logan Paul. Yeah, okay.
We're selling out.
We are. We're selling out. Yeah, why not? All right, cheers.